Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about financial planning topics to think about for the end of the year. Every year, I send out this planning checklist, and the purpose is usually twofold. To get people thinking about things that changed in their life recently. It could be something big like they're going through a divorce, experiencing a baby, or changing a job, or even moving. It's also to think about things that everyone should really look at least once a year. Am I in the right investment strategy that I should be in? Am I taking advantage of all the benefits that my employer offers? Is there anything I can be doing to optimize my tax situation? It's especially important this year as there is a significant tax proposal on the table. And I know some people are looking at the checklist and they're not really sure how to determine if something applies to them or not. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk through the different areas of the checklist and cover a couple of the items on it that I think will impact a lot of people and how they should be looking or how they should be analyzing whether they should take any action or not. Obviously, everyone's situation is different and not all these are going to be applicable to everyone. So if you'd like, I'd be happy to sit down and go through your own personal situation with you and what areas you should be focusing on. The last 2 years have brought, obviously a lot of unexpected changes to people's financial lives and lives in general. Maybe some people have decided to retire early, lost a job, sold a home. But even if you haven't made any of those major life changes, it's important to review your financial picture. And this checklist is one easy way of doing it. It's broken up into 8 areas. So there's taxes, retirement, investments, insurance, milestones, health changes, and family. And what we'll do is we'll go through each of these and the sub items of each of these different areas that you should really look at. So the first area I wanted to discuss is taxes. And with the proposed tax change on the horizon, there's a lot of questions that I'm getting and a lot of questions that I can see that are out there that people just want to know, how are they going to be impacted by this? And even without the proposal, there's things that you should be thinking about your taxes as you're going into the new year and tax planning season. So a couple of things you want to do. One, you want to project your income for 2021 and 2022. Managing your tax bracket, it's one of the ways to be efficient with your taxes. And that means either seeing if there's a way that you can get down into a lower bracket or fill up your existing bracket with things like Roth conversions so that you can utilize your existing bracket depending upon what it is, and you don't get bumped up into the higher bracket. Another thing you want to do is review your realized and unrealized gains and losses for the year. We've been using an investment strategy in taxable accounts called direct indexing, which can help with something called tax loss harvesting. And again, it's just a way to be efficient with your taxes. Another thing to do is review your potential deductions and credits for 2021 and 2022. You want to track donations to charity. Because recently there's been an increase or substantial increase in the standard deduction amount, a lot of taxpayers who've historically itemized deductions, what they're doing now is they're finding it advantageous to take the standard deduction with their tax return. But there is a strategy for those who are charitably inclined and they really find themselves between, on the margin between taking the standard deduction and itemizing. One strategy they can do is bunching their itemized deductions, which is a way that you can maximize your tax benefit by you concentrate your charitable contributions and deductions in some years. And then the years that you do that, you take the increased, you take your itemized deductions, and the years that you don't, you take the increased standard deduction. So you're actually making the same deductions to charity, but you're able to take more of a benefit or more of a deduction depending upon which years you actually do that. Gifting is another great way to be savvy with respect to taxes and future estate planning. So here are some of the items on the tax side that you want to look at. Next up is retirement, and retirement comes obviously with a lot of decisions. Whether you're retired now, whether you're thinking about retirement, you want to make sure you're maxing out or at least contributing as much as you can to your 401k. You at least want to make sure you're getting the employer match. Obviously, if you can put a catch-up contribution and you want to look and see if you can do that as well. Another thing that we've looked to help people look at is whether a solo 401k or a SEP IRA makes sense, depending upon if you own your own business. If you are going into retirement, you want to look at different Social Security claiming options. You want to make sure you're building that paycheck in the most efficient way possible so that the assets that you've built up, one, how long they'll last, but also what's the most tax efficient way to withdraw on all those. They may be all different types of taxable accounts and tax deferred, tax free types of accounts, and you want to make sure you're using them in the most efficient way possible. I'm seeing a lot of people who are asking me now about quitting their jobs and whether they can do it or not, which is essentially an early retirement. So the way we approach it is we do an analysis on whether someone can do it now, whether they have something to shoot for in the near future, and if they make a couple of changes, they're able to retire. And then it may not be possible right now, and it may be something in the future. But again, at least they have that info, and time is the best benefactor to really make any change that they need to get them on the path so that they can, retire or quit their job when they want to. I mentioned Roth conversions earlier. They're really big right now because, there's a lot of tax uncertainty that's out there. And one good thing about Roth conversions is once that money gets into the Roth, it really takes that tax uncertainty, or it hedges against potential future tax increases in the future. So they're a great vehicle. RMDs are back again this year, and obviously going forward. So if you are subject to RMDs, you really have to look at how can I make this part of my withdrawal strategy, and how best can I efficiently take these. Investing and people's portfolio is another hot topic now. We've seen some good growth over the past couple of years, but I think some people are starting to worry that, are we at a top? How is inflation gonna impact their investment? So one of the things you want to do is really look at your investment goals, your strategy. How is your portfolio prepared for inflation or any other kind of event? One thing we do is we stress test all the the portfolios that we manage, the portfolios that we look at, and just look at different events and how we think that, or how the stress test predicts that the portfolio will handle. And that's could be something as simple as the S&P drops by 20%, or it could be what if interest rates go up by 3%, or what if we see another event like 2008, 2009. And really it's trying to make sure that there are as little surprises as possible with it. And then it also gives us the impetus to rebalance when necessary, which is make sure that we stick to the strategy that we have, and that we don't either get too aggressive or too conservative with it, and that all the money in the portfolio is working the way it should be towards hitting your goals. You want to look at any outstanding loans and mortgages. Interest rates have been really low for a long time, and they're probably going to continue to be low, but they may tick up. The Fed has committed to increasing interest rates, at least starting in 2023, depending upon what we see inflation. It may come even sooner than that. So you want to look at, where you are with your loans. Are they fixed? Are they variable? And, are you taking advantage of it? Everyone really shuns debt, but, there is good debt that can help you get to your financial goals. And you just want to make sure you're utilizing it, properly. Okay, next one is, it's very simple. You just want to review all your insurance policies each year. It's a really great practice to do. You want to look at, one, do you have the right coverage? An example is we saw Hurricane Ida this year. A lot of people were surprised that insurance didn't cover water damage or flood damage that they incurred. So you want to look, does it make sense for me to get flood insurance? It's also looking at the premiums that you're paying. You may be able to get better rates. And obviously I'm not advocating that you switch carriers every year because one's slightly cheaper than the current one, but many people get their insurance years ago. They never look at it. They just keep paying the premiums. And insurance companies do, they change their rates, and you may be able to get the same or better coverage for a cheaper premium if you just looked and shopped and saw what's out there. Did you reach any milestones this year? Some milestones, a couple of them that we have on here are 50, where you can make those catch up 401k or IRA contributions. 59.5, where you can actually start taking funds from your IRA without any penalty. 65, you can apply for Medicare. And then that 72 is where you have to start taking RMD. So you want to just go through and make sure that, some people like being or have that extra cash now that they're a little bit older, maybe their mortgage is paid off, their kids might be out of the house, and they can make those catch-up contributions. So if you're able to do it, you definitely want to take advantage of being able to. Healthcare is another important area to review each year. And again, COVID-19 may have brought changes to healthcare coverage. So a lot of employees, they're going through their workplace benefits right now before the open enrollment deadline comes. And you should really take a strategic approach to open enrollment. Make sure the benefits square with your money goals that you have. A lot of employers are adding benefits as a retention tool, but also because of the pandemic, we're seeing a lot of health insurance costs that are going up. I think the average is around 5% next year, the premiums. One of the biggest questions that people have is whether they should join their partner's benefits plan or keep their own benefits separate. So one way to analyze this is take out a spreadsheet and try to match both plans together on each of the different areas of coverage, and match that with what your needs are, with your healthcare health insurance projections are for 2022. And obviously no one can predict what health needs they're going to have, but at least you can take a look at it and maybe even use 2021, 2020 as a benchmark to see where what areas you think you might need the coverage or the benefits. You may want to consider whether you want a low deductible plan or a high deductible plan. I'm a proponent of HSAs. They have a triple tax benefit that you won't find in really any other vehicle, but they're not right for everyone. Some people don't want that high deductible healthcare plan and rather would have a low deductible one. Changes are a big one. And I mentioned earlier, you may have had a job status change, you may have changed a job, relocated, you may have lost a loved one. You really want to look at these changes and really determine, does it necessitate some kind of financial planning, either decision or need? And, will it affect your overall financial plan and your financial health? So, you really want to look. They could be moving, selling an asset, refinancing your house, losing or changing your job, adding through family, whether, you may have had a baby or adopted one, you may have lost a loved one, or there may be a severe illness in the family. I'm seeing a lot of people come with questions about caregiving, which is another, a topic that needs planning as well and often gets overlooked. The other thing you want to look at is changes related to your family. Have you contributed to education accounts for your children or grandchildren this year? You can now use 529s to pay for private grammar school, private high school. You can also front load 529s where you can get a significant amount into the 529, which is a tax advantaged account, where essentially you could prepay for your child's education now rather than having to worry about it, in 18 years, 15 years, or whenever they start going to school. All right, so to wrap up, I wanted to make this pretty quick, but again, just want to reiterate what changed for you in 2021. What do you see changing in 2022? And really, it takes 5 to 10 minutes to go through it and really just kind of think about how does this apply for me. And if you'd like, I'd be happy to chat and walk through it with you and see really, get down to the details and see if something does apply to you or not. You can schedule a consultation by going to my website, bautisfinancial.com/year-end, and I'd be happy to talk to you. Thanks.